You know that feeling when you're standing in a massive library and you just know the answer you need is in there somewhere, but you don't speak the librarian's language? Well, that's pretty much what it's like trying to get information from a database. The answers are all there, but they're locked behind a wall of code. Today, we're going to talk about how AI is just completely smashing down that wall, basically teaching the librarian to understand plain English.
And that right there is the core of the problem. If you want to ask something like, hey, how many new customers did we get in Germany last month? You can't just ask. You have to speak to the database in its language, which is usually SQL, that's structured query language. Now, that's a specialized skill. And in most businesses, the people who really need the data, well, they aren't the ones who can write the code. And this creates a huge bottleneck, slowing everything down.
So, here's what we're going to get into. First, we'll talk about the SQL challenge itself. Then, we'll see how AI is stepping in to be your new coder. We'll peek inside the AI toolkit to see what it can do, hear from some real people who are using these tools, and then wrap up by asking, what does this all mean for the future?
All right, let's start with the language of data. At its very heart, SQL is all about asking questions using something called a select statement. You have to be super specific. You have to tell it what to select, which columns, from which table, and where certain things are true. Even a simple question looks like, well, code. And while it's incredibly powerful, it's also incredibly unforgiving. One misplaced comma, one tiny mistake, and you either get an error, or even worse, you get the wrong answer. And that complexity is the barrier we're talking about.
So what's the fix? Well, this is where artificial intelligence comes in. We're seeing this massive shift in how we talk to data. Instead of us having to learn the machine's super strict language, we're actually teaching the machine to understand ours. AI is becoming our personal translator, an interpreter that can take a simple question we ask in English and turn it into the perfect, structured code that a database gets.
And this isn't some far-off idea. This is happening right now. The promise here is it's just revolutionary. The ability to create a really complex query in the time it takes you to type out a sentence. I mean, imagine just typing, show me my top 5 products by revenue last quarter but don't include returns. And poof, the perfect code just appears. It completely removes the need to know how to code to get that answer.
The impact of that speed is, honestly, it's staggering. Just look at one tool, AI to SQL. Its users have saved over 25,000 hours. And that's not just idle time, that's productivity. That's getting insights faster, that's freeing up data analysts to solve bigger problems instead of getting stuck trying to find a missing semicolon. That's what happens when you turn a question into code in seconds.
And we're not talking about some niche little tool here. This is massive adoption. Over 100,000 users in more than 80 countries. It just goes to show you that this technology is being trusted and woven into how people work on a global scale, from solo analysts all the way up to huge companies.
Okay, so what can these AI assistants actually do? Because it's a lot more than just a one-trick pony. Let's take a look inside the box and see what kind of tools we're working with here.
First up, the main event, text to SQL. This is that translator we were talking about. You type your question in plain English, and the AI generates the precise, syntactically perfect SQL code to get your answer. And it's not just SQL. It can handle other database types like NoSQL too. This is the feature that really opens the door for everybody. But what happens when you have a piece of code you don't understand? Maybe a colleague wrote it, or maybe the AI wrote it, and you're curious. Well, the Explain SQL feature is like having a personal tutor. It breaks down those complex queries line by line and tells you exactly what each part is doing. So, and this is the really cool part, it's not just a tool for doing, it's a tool for learning. Now for the pros out there, this one is a total game changer. See, you can write a query that works, but that doesn't mean it's efficient. A clunky query can actually slow down an entire system. The AI Optimizer will look at your code, find the bottlenecks, and suggest improvements to make it run way faster and use fewer resources. It's a huge boost for performance. And the toolkit doesn't stop there. It can instantly find and fix syntax errors in your code. It can take a messy query and automatically format it so it's clean and readable. And it can even help you generate complex formulas for things like Excel or Google Sheets. It's really a full suite of tools to make your life easier. All this technology is great, but what really matters at the end of the day is the human impact, right? So let's see what actual users are saying and how this stuff is solving real-world problems for them.
Listen to this from Mimichi, a data analyst. This just says it all. For a professional, Time is everything. Turning something that would have taken hours of frustrating work into just 10 minutes, that is a massive, massive win. Now, let's flip the script. Look at this from Didier's perspective. He's just starting out. For him, the AI isn't just saving time, it's an enabler. It's lowering that super intimidating learning curve of SQL, making data analytics way more accessible, and letting beginners actually get stuff done from day one.
And finally, here's a quote from Dustin, a lead software engineer. This really shows you the value from a business perspective. He's not just using it for his own tasks. He sees it as a solid solution that he can build into the products he offers his own customers. That's a huge vote of confidence.
Okay, so we've seen the tools, we've heard from the people. Let's just zoom out for a second. What are the big, long-term implications of this shift from writing code to just asking questions?
What we're seeing is a move away from a slow, manual process that required a ton of specialized knowledge. The new way is conversational. It's accessible to almost anyone, and it is unbelievably fast. It basically democratizes data, allowing way more people to ask way more questions way more quickly. And that leaves us with this final, really fascinating question to chew on. Are we watching the beginning of the end for learning languages like SQL? Or are we just at the dawn of a new era, where AI doesn't replace the coder at all, but instead becomes this indispensable partner, amplifying our skills and letting us work with data in ways we never even thought possible? The conversation, for sure, is just getting started.